Hey friends, Tim Mann here, Church Builders International, with this week's edition of 2 Minutes of Healing, where we expound on a single verse of Scripture principles of biblical healing. Let's get right into our verse today. We're reading out of the book of Romans chapter 5, verse 20. Romans chapter 5, verse 20, and we're doing the second half, and it says, where sin abounds, grace does much more abound. Where sin abounds, grace does much more abound. One translation says it this way, where sin increased, grace increased even more. The word abounds there is used two different ways. It's actually two different Greek words with different emphasis. The first one, where sin abounds, that means to increase, to add to. It's a mathematical term. Then it says sin increases, then grace abounds. But that word abounds actually means to be multiplied. So when sin is added to, grace is multiplied. Now, do you realize that all through the New Testament, anything that is called sin is actually representation of Satan and his works? He is sin. The things he does is sin. All of the things that in the New Testament that are called sin are actually representations of Satan and his activities himself. Where sin abounds, or is added to, grace much more abound. Now let's look at this word much more just for a moment, okay? In Greek, it is actually the word huper, H-U-P-E-R. It's a slang word in Greek and in English. We translate it super. So in the comic strips, the guy that Clark Kent turns into Superman. Hooperman would be the Greek word. And so it means is super multiplied. That's a right way to say it. When sin abounds is increased or added to, grace is super multiplied. Not just multiplied, it's super multiplied. When sickness attacks, there is a super grace available to overcome it. God's grace causes good things to happen. All this month, we're going to teach you about how to deal with the attacks of sickness and disease against your health and against your family's health. The first thing to know is that there is a super manifestation, a super multiplication of God's might or grace immediately available to escape sicknesses and diseases. Start reaching out to the Lord and ask for and then receive by faith His super grace, super multiplied grace during seasons where sickness tries to attack you. God bless you. We'll be back next week with another 2 Minutes of Healing.